Every influencer tells you to use more products for hair loss, but after helping hundreds of black men regrow their hair, I discovered this advice is wrong. And you see the proof every time you look in the mirror. That's why you dread the barber chair, watching him push your line back to make it look sharp. But when you fix the problem, you will go to a full, thick head of hair. In this video, I'm going to show you the exact 11-step system to do that. First, I show you why your hair is falling out. Then I show you why your current products aren't working. And finally, I show you what you actually need to do to regrow your hair. This system works with natural products, pharmaceutical products, or both. Like Terrence, who filled in his middle scalp, or Malik, who grew a full crown. This system is broken down into 3 specific phases. Phase 1 is fixing the damage that's stopping your hair from growing in the first place. Phase 2 is flipping the growth switch on. And phase 3 is making those changes permanent so you don't lose the new hair. Now, you might be expecting me to jump straight into use this product or take this supplement, but we're gonna spend the first 5 steps not growing any hair. 0. And you might be thinking, what? I came here to regrow my hair. Trust me. This is the most important part. Every guy who skips this wastes their money and sees no results. You're about to understand why. Let's start with phase 1 and step 1. But first, if you want a free copy of this complete roadmap that breaks everything down, then check out the link in the video description. Step 1, imagine for a minute that you are building a house. And first you need to lay down a foundation. But there's rubble everywhere, old materials are piling up, and trash is covering every surface. If you start to pour that concrete, it would never touch the actual earth. It would sit on top of that trash pile. And the same thing is happening on your head. Dead skin, old products, and your natural oils all pile up, creating a thick layer that products can't penetrate. You can keep pouring them on, but they will sit on top and do nothing. Every dollar you spend on products is like hiring a construction crew to work on top of a garbage dump. They can't access the ground to start building. We need tools that can break through that crust without damaging the scalp. Natural approaches might use things like apple cider vinegar. These gently dissolve the buildup. Medical products might use chemicals like salicylic acid. The goal is always the same. Clear the construction site to a clean ground so we can actually start working. Step 2, once we've cleared the debris, we can finally see what we're dealing with. And for most men with thinning hair, what we find underneath is an unstable foundation. Water damage everywhere. The ground is completely saturated. Everything's swollen, unstable, unable to support any structure. On your head, this is called inflammation. When your body detects a threat like bacteria, injury, infection, it floods the area with immune cells and inflammatory chemicals. These chemicals fight off threats and trigger healing. But here's the problem. Your scalp thinks it's under constant attack. Maybe it's bacteria that is trapped under all that buildup. Maybe it's irritation from tight hairstyles, chemical treatments, or harsh products. Maybe it's your genetics making your immune system hypersensitive. Whatever triggered it, your immune system has flooded your scalp with inflammatory chemicals. It makes your scalp unstable and unfriendly to growth. So your hair follicles go dormant. They're not dead, they're in lockdown, waiting for the danger to pass. But the emergency never passes. You can use the most powerful growth products in the world and see nothing happen. I had one client, Terrence, who told me he had these thick yellow flakes and a burning sensation on his scalp. He tried coconut oil and other products for temporary relief, but that burning would always come back. What he didn't realize was that his scalp barrier was completely compromised. He had a skin condition called seborrheic dermatitis. It made his scalp unfriendly to hair growth. And until he fixed that inflammation, nothing was going to work. Now here's how we fix it. Natural approaches use compounds like turmeric, green tea extract, or aloe vera. Medical products use stronger ingredients like ketoconazole or zinc pyridone to fix swelling. The goal is the same whatever you use. Stabilize the ground and create an environment where growth can actually happen. All right, so we've cleared the debris. We pumped out the flooding, the site is starting to look workable, but there's still a critical piece missing, and without it, nothing you build will survive. Step 3 is about getting power and water to the construction site. Every building needs water, electricity, even gas. Without those connections, the building is a shell. Nothing works. But when they start digging, the old water pipes are crushed, rusted, and barely working. A tiny trickle of water might get through, but nowhere near enough to actually supply a functioning house. That's what's happening to your hair follicles right now. Each follicle is like a tiny factory that manufactures hair. And like any factory, it needs constant utilities to operate. It needs oxygen to power the cellular machinery, nutrients to build the hair shaft, growth hormones to signal production schedules. It gets delivered through your blood vessels, specifically tiny vessels called capillaries. But if your scalp is inflamed, your body starts forming scar tissue around the follicles. This is called fibrosis. It crushes and squeezes the tiny blood vessels feeding your follicles. So the blood is trickling through. There's enough to keep follicles alive, but not enough for them to actually grow and produce hair. Even if you use the most powerful growth products in the world, if blood can't reach your follicles, these products can't do anything. I work with a client named Malik who had what I call sticky highways. His blood work showed his blood was thicker than normal. This made blood flow slow to the tiny vessels in his scalp. We were trying to deliver nutrients, but it was like trying to push traffic through a jam. Some treatments force blood vessels to open wider. This allows more blood to flow. Others trigger your body to repair and rebuild damaged blood vessels. Natural approaches might use things like ginkgo biloba, cayenne pepper extract, or peppermint oil. Medical treatments might use vasodilators like minoxidil. These open up blood vessels. But regardless of your path, this step is about one thing: reconnecting the utilities so your supplies can actually reach your follicles. Now we're making real progress, but there's a structural weakness in the basement that we need to address. If we don't fix this, everything we're trying to deliver to your follicles will leak right back out. Step 4 is all about waterproofing the basement. If water doesn't manage to seep in through the basement, it'll make cracks and turn the foundation unstable. The same thing happens on your head. Your scalp has a protective barrier made of skin cells held together by fats. When this barrier is whole and sealed, it does two things. It keeps moisture in, so your scalp stays hydrated, and it keeps threats out. Bacteria, pollutants, chemicals can't penetrate a sealed barrier. A poorly sealed scalp lets bacteria in. Bacteria causes inflammation. That inflammation damages more of the barrier. More cracks form and more bacteria enter. To fix this, we use compounds that fix the barrier. Natural approaches might use oils like jojoba oil, squalane, or aloe vera spray. Medical products might use lab-made ceramides or hyaluronic acid. The goal is identical: fill in the cracks, seal the basement, make it waterproof so it can support what we're about to build. Okay, so at this point, you might be thinking, we've done all this work, can we not start growing the hair already? I get it. We're 4 steps in and haven't grown a single hair yet. But here's the thing. This is exactly why most guys fail. They skip straight to step 8 and wonder why nothing happens. Stick with me. We're almost ready to start regrowing hair, because there's one more threat we have to deal with. And this one is the main cause of everything we fixed. If we don't address this now, all the work we did would break in months. Step 5 is all about killing the pest that's been eating your hair from the inside. Think of a termite infestation in your house. You can clear the construction site, you can lay the foundation, reconnect utilities, you can seal the basement. But if termites are chewing away at the structure from the inside, everything you build will collapse. The termites don't stop. They keep eating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. On your head, these termites are actually something called DHT. Let me explain how this works. Testosterone is a hormone your body produces naturally, but testosterone can be converted into a potent form called DHT. When DHT attaches to your follicles, it triggers a chain reaction that destroys them. First, it causes inflammation. That's the issue from step 2. That inflammation damages the follicle structure, weakening the walls. The capillaries feeding the follicle get crushed. Eventually, the follicle can't grow a full hair anymore. It only makes thin, weak, barely visible hair. And here's the most important part. DHT keeps attacking every damn day. You can repair all the damage. You can rebuild the foundation, but if the DHT is still there, it'll destroy everything. This is the difference between short-term results and permanent change. This step is non-negotiable. We have to remove the DHT For example, I had a client called Bobby. He came to me wanting to stay completely natural and holistic. So we ran blood tests and found his omega-3 levels were too low. His scalp was inflamed on the inside. The whole foundation was damaged. He didn't want pharmaceuticals, so we went with the natural path. We put him on saw palmetto to stop the DHT, and after a few months, his inflammation started to disappear. If he wanted to use medical drugs, we would have used prescriptions like finasteride or dutasteride. Both approaches work, but some guys prefer one over the other. There was no hair growing yet, but that's exactly right. And this is where I need to set your expectations. The first 5 steps were in phase 1 of the system, where we prepared the site. In phase 2, we start to build the house. This is where the hair will finally start to come back and grow again. If Mike had skipped phase 1 and jumped to growth products, he'd have wasted all his money because nothing would have worked. Phase 1 isn't sexy. You won't see dramatic before and after transformations yet. No influencer is going to make a viral video about clearing scalp debris because it's boring. They want to sell you the quick fix, the miracle oil, the secret techniques. That's exactly why they're wrong and why their advice doesn't work. But it's the most important phase of the entire system because if you skip it, everything else fails. Phase 2 is about actual construction and helping the hair to grow. Think of it like this. You have a dirt path leading to your construction site. It's fine for walking, even driving a small car. But once construction starts, you need to transport heavy equipment to the site. That dirt path won't work. It'll turn to mud and collapse. You need to build a real road, wider, reinforced, designed to handle heavy loads. When your scalp was damaged, the hair was barely growing. You didn't need a big road, but now that the scalp is fixed, your hair will need a lot of resources to start growing. One way is to make tiny injuries to the scalp using a derma roller. Your body sees it as damage and sends emergency repair signals. One of those repair signals is build new blood vessels in this damaged area immediately. When you have new blood vessels, you're building new roads, more ways for blood to reach your scalp. That brings us on to step 7. So earlier we installed the power lines, but you know what? They're not doing anything yet. We need to actually flip the switch and send power through the system. Without the power turned on, construction can't start. The equipment won't run. It's the same thing on your head. You have to flip the switch. Otherwise, your hair will never start to regrow. Inside every cell in your body, you have tiny power plants called mitochondria. They take oxygen and nutrients from your body and turn them into pure energy. If the mitochondria in your hair follicles are sleeping on the job, then your hair will not be able to grow. With my clients, I advise them to use red light therapy. This supercharges your hair energy production. It helps your cells make energy faster and better. Natural path, pharmaceutical path, everyone uses red light because biology is biology. Now remember, if you want a free step-by-step copy of this roadmap, then check out the link in the video description. Now, step 8 is where most guys start. They show up to the construction site with a megaphone shouting, "Start building!" But if the workers are not ready, your shouting is meaningless. When the site is perfectly prepared, your signal triggers immediate action. Everything we did in the first 7 steps was getting the site ready so the signal actually works. Now we can finally send the signal to the hair and tell it to start growing. We do that by using growth hormones. The natural path uses ingredients that gently wake up follicles. Things like rosemary oil, peppermint oil, saw palmetto, or caffeine. The medical path forces follicles to start growing. The most common product is minoxidil. This is where guys like Terrence start seeing real results. He didn't jump straight to growth products. He did the groundwork first, cleared the debris, calmed the inflammation, and fixed his blood flow. Then when we sent the growth signal with minoxidil, his middle scalp started to fill in. But regardless which path you choose, the biology is the same. Do the groundwork and then tell the hair to start growing. Before step 9, I need to warn you about something that makes most people panic and quit right before they see results. If you don't understand what's coming, you'll think the system is failing. But the truth is, what's about to happen is proof that it's working. You start shedding hair, a lot of it, more than before you started. Jeremiah came to me after using products and seeing his hair fall out. He said, "I started seeing a lot of shedding and I didn't know what was happening." What he didn't realize is that shedding can be a good sign. It means the dormant follicles are waking up and clearing out the weak hairs. Imagine you own an old, fallen apart house. You hire a contractor to renovate it completely, tear it down, and rebuild it properly. The contractor shows up and says, "First, We have to demolish the old structure. It's too damaged to save. We're building something new from scratch. So for the first few weeks, your property looks worse than when you started. There's rubble everywhere. Walls are torn down. It's a disaster zone. A neighbor walks by and says, what are you doing? This looks terrible. But you understand, the demolition is necessary. You can't build a new house until you clear away the old one. That's exactly what's happening with the shedding. When you send growth signals to sleeping follicles, they won't start working right away. First, they have to shed the old, weak hairs that are sitting in the way. Your body needs to clear them out to make room for new, thick, healthy hairs. So your body sheds those weak hairs. That's the demolition phase. So for a few weeks, the demo phase is going on. It looks like you're losing more hair, but everyone goes through it. It's normal and temporary. That brings us to the end of phase 2. By now, you should start seeing new hairs emerging. The structure is starting to take shape, but the construction isn't complete yet. If you stop the treatments and maintenance now, everything will collapse. That's why phase 3 is critical. It's about finishing the build and protecting it. These final 3 steps are what separate a house that stands for 10 years from a house that stands for 100 years. Most people don't know that those new hairs aren't permanent yet. They're still fragile and vulnerable. Every hair follicle has a part of its base called the dermal papilla. Think of it like an anchor that holds the entire hair in place. When you lost your hair, this anchor was weak and barely attached. We started fixing this in phase 2, giving it the tools it needs to heal, but the anchor needs time to strengthen. This is where a lot of guys get impatient. They see new hairs and think they're done. But I had one client who stopped his protocol too early because he thought he fixed it. Within months, those new hairs started falling out. The anchor hadn't fully strengthened yet. This is called follicle anchoring. It takes months, not weeks. So step 10 is about trusting the process and giving your hair time to heal. You can't fix it all in a few weeks and expect it to stay forever. Now that the anchor is stabilizing, there's something else we need to do. Remember all those strong treatments we've been using? The daily applications, the frequent rolling, the intensive protocols? Those were necessary to get the structure built, but you can't keep that intensity up forever. And the good news is you don't need to. When you're actively constructing a house, you need scaffolding everywhere. Workers need access to high areas. Equipment needs support. Safety systems need to be in place. But once the construction is complete, you don't need to leave scaffolding up forever. It's expensive, it's in the way, and frankly, it's not needed anymore. The structure can stand on its own now. You remove the scaffolding gradually, taking down one section at a time. Your hair regrowth protocol is the same. The strong treatments we used in phase 2 were like scaffolding. They supported initial growth, but they're not sustainable long term, and they're not necessary long term either. Once follicles are locked in and stable, they don't need strong treatments. The goal is to slowly reduce to the smallest amount that works. Both paths use products less often and derma rolling less often. The key is taper slowly. If you remove all the scaffolding at once, the structure might wobble and crack. We're doing this gradually over 3 to 4 months. The goal is to make a sustainable and easy routine to keep those hair gains forever. Imagine it's 12 months from now, your barber's working on your hairline and he pauses, steps back, looks at your density, your thickness, your coverage, and he says, "Yo, what have you been doing? This looks completely different." You just smile because you know it wasn't luck. It wasn't some miracle product or secret hack. It was understanding the process and following the blueprint. You're not angling your head in the photos anymore to hide thin spots. You're not wearing hats indoors to cover your hairline. You're not dreading the barber chair hoping he can make it look decent. You walk in with confidence because you're the guy who understood the problem and built the solution. And that confidence goes beyond your hair, into your relationships, your business, your entire life. You walk out the house every day with your head held up high, literally and figuratively. Now that you understand the exact system I use to help regrow men's hair, part of the treatment is using minoxidil, but that can come with its own problems, which I'll talk about in this video. So I recommend you go watch that next.